friends, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hello, my name is Mika. Thank you so much for stopping in. Heart to heart, come to Jesus the way that you are. In my belief, when you go through Jesus, you can get to God. That's the way to get to God. Some people don't believe that there is a middle spirit or a middle way to get to God. You can go directly to God, and you know, to each his own. You believe what you want to believe, and that is completely fine. There was a point in time where I just believed the same thing, that there was just a God, no Jesus. But as I dug deeper and grew in my faith and really got more serious about learning about God and, you know, the afterlife and things like that, then I was like, okay, there is a Jesus. So for me, and if you believe the same thing, then you know that you need to go to Jesus, get that relationship, and then that way you're connected with God. And we want to be connected with God. God is where it's safe, and God is where the protection is. And you know, I know a lot of times it's a little scary trying to have that relationship with God, because you kind of you feel like, based off of flesh and based off of the world, and if you don't get into your Bible, or if you don't get into a church where you're being fed the true word, which is why you should follow up with reading the Bible for yourself. But if you don't, you know, really have that relationship already with Jesus, then you will start to feel like you're not good enough to be in the presence of God. And if that was the truth, then none of us, I don't care how big of a believer you are, I don't care how strong your faith is, none of us would be able or would be permitted to be in the presence of God, because none of us can ever do enough work, will ever be good enough, or would ever show up so pure that we get to stand in the presence of God. Nobody. We're born into sin. So already we have stripes against us. We're already dirty once we're born. So how is it that people are having these relationships with God, having these relationships with Jesus, if we have to be clean first, if we have to have our life together first? It would never happen. If we waited till we were perfect, if we waited till we had everything aligned, we waited till everything was good and according to the Bible, none of us would have a relationship with God. And I'm just being honest, even myself, even in my walk, I struggle. I struggle with bad thoughts. I struggle with fear. I struggle with complaining, gossiping, lying, you know, everything. I'm flesh. And I have to diligently work to make sure that I don't do these things. But naturally, if I'm just talking, or if I'm just listening to somebody's business, or I'm sitting with my girls and we gossiping about people, it's natural to do that, because we are born of sin. We are sinful people. So if I'm not like reeling it back in and saying, you know what, is this right? Would God have for you to do this? Then I'll keep doing it. But it's only then when I fall into that conviction, like, okay, yes, this is not right. I know better. So let me dismiss myself from it, or let me not tell this white lie, or let me not over exaggerate a story, or let me not whatever it is that I know is not right. So go ahead, if you have that desire, I don't care what you are doing. You could just take somebody's life. You could, you know, be in sexual sin. You could be the worst person on the earth, and you are still loved and still accepted. All you have to do is ask. Just ask Jesus, call on Jesus, and guess what? He's there. And he's going to open his arms to you. You want to know how I know? Because I did it. I did it even in my darkest times. Even when I was partying like crazy, sinning like crazy, sin. My list of sin was so long. And I had no care in the world. I was even pushing Jesus away. Like, who cares about that? I'm young. I want to party. I want to do this. I want to do that. I'm not giving up nothing. I had that mindset. I did. I wanted to I disobeyed my mom. I lied. I did things I wasn't supposed to do. I lost my virginity young. I had a kid young. I did a lot. But God has changed me. And this is not a facade. This is genuinely what happens when you get in relationship with God. You don't have to go to Jesus perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect person. You don't have to go to Jesus already clean. Jesus will clean you up. So when you have the desire to get to know Jesus, or have a stronger relationship with Jesus, and you want to connect with God, I'm going to just say to you, just go to him in the midst of your mess. In the middle of you just got up out the bed with somebody, call on him. I promise you, he's there. I promise you, you'll feel something. Something will start to change. It's not going to be this drastic boom, but you're going to feel it. It's almost hard to explain. You just have to do it. You have to believe. When you're calling that name, you have to believe, okay, Jesus loves me. Or at least that he exists. And when you call on him, he's going to show up. He's going to show up. He already knows what you're doing. So you might as well go to him with all the sin. Go with him with all the heartache. Go to him with all the bad things that you've done. All the things that you're ashamed of. All the things you've been through and you've taken other people through. You might as well just go. Put it all out there. Just, Jesus, I'm here and I'm naked. And when you're naked before Jesus, that doesn't mean anything sexual. It doesn't mean anything nasty. It doesn't mean you literally go get naked and call on Jesus. It just means I'm exposing myself to you, because he already knows. He already knows. Just like a parent. How many times are you, Mom, Dad, I did this, and they look at you like, I was waiting on you to tell me. I've been knew you did that. You know what I'm saying? You're like, what? But you still get loved by that parent. Your parent doesn't say, you don't get away from me because you skipped class and I'm just disappointed. My kids don't skip class. My kids don't make F's and my kids don't slip up. My kids don't fornicate. My kids don't whatever it is. They don't do that. So imagine if a fleshly parent could still give you a hug and still love on you. Imagine what that love from Jesus would do no matter what you've done. No matter what you've done. If you can really just wrap your mind around what I'm saying, you would shout for joy right now. And it's not playing in God's face. It's not playing in Jesus's face by saying, oh, no matter what I've done, I can come to Jesus. No. It is saying that is true. You know, especially if you want to. If you're serious about it, just go. And you can fall. You can go right back into sin and you can still come back and call on Jesus. But be serious about it, because he's not going to keep on allowing you to, I'm going to do this, because he knows your heart too. So if you already like, I'm planning to do this sin, but I'm going to ask God to forgive me later, that's trying to play in God's face, and that is not going to work. But if you like legit trying, but you did not plan it, but you fall back into sin, then yeah, you could be forgiven. And he will erase the slate, forget about it, and keep on loving you. He's going to love you regardless, even if you are trying to play games for him. But just take it from me. Go to Jesus, go to God the way that you are. Drunk, on drugs, half-dressed, in the bed, prostitution, stripping, sleeping with everybody, whatever it is, whatever you believe is a sin, whatever the Bible tells us is a sin, whatever those are for you. And I promise you, God will change you. Stop trying to do it yourself. That's your problem. Stop trying to change yourself. It's not your job. You can never change yourself. You'll never be ready. You're always going to find a reason to stay in your sin, because we're born into sin. We live in sin every day. And sin feels so much better than trying to be righteous. I'm just going to be honest. But just go. Every day that you get up is an opportunity to just call on them. That's how I look at it. And that's so simple. We always say we got to do all this work. We got to pay all this money. We got to do all this. Who says that you got to do all that when Jesus said, just call and just seek me? Seek me. That's all he said. Everything else on the earth, the stuff the world gives us, we have to work for it, don't we? We don't get no rest. We have to work down to the bone. We have to go broke to prove ourselves to people. But God is like, you don't got to do none of that. Just call on me. Tell me that you need me. Stop making it harder than it has to be. Whatever it is that you're like, oh, I'm scared to go to Jesus about because I live this way, I promise you, just sit with him. And eventually the things that he does not want for you to do, not the world, you have to have the relationship with Jesus. Listen to Jesus. He will tell you what it is that he wants you to change and when he wants you to change it. And I think a lot of pressure comes from the church. A lot of pressure comes from the Christians, where it's like, oh, you can't be doing that. You got to do this. You got to, now you say you walk with God. You can't be dressing like that. You can't do this. You can't do that. Focus on Jesus. Because Jesus has something different for each and every one of us. Yes, there are plain rules that's in the Bible that we are supposed to abide by. Aim to abide by those rules. But the additional things outside of that, like when a woman's supposed to dress modestly and all that stuff, Jesus did not outline exactly that every woman should be covered from head to toe. This is what modest means. She should not have anything showing. Her hair should be covered. He didn't say any of those things, at least not from what I understood from it. But yet we have a lot of people who judge people on that. And I just feel like, God will let you know. When you will know. I'm telling you, you would know. It's hard to explain until you get in it. When you walk with him, there's things that's going to just start to fall off of you. Change that's just going to fall off of you. And you're going to be like, I used to love doing this. I used to love dressing like this. I used to love talking like this. And now I don't. Believe it or not, I used to curse. Especially when I was in my young 20s, like 20 to 23. I was cursing. I was drinking heavy. I was, doing all kinds of things like that. But when I started to turn back to Jesus, at first I was like a lot of people, where I felt like I had to be perfect before I can go and talk to God. But I just decided to just turn back. I was about 25, 26, and I just decided to get back a little bit here, a little bit there, try to get into a relationship. And things started to fall off naturally. Like I started losing that desire to drink. Even when I would drink, I would just feel so disgusted. And it wasn't even like mentally like I was telling myself this is wrong. It's just that God will change you. He will make you new, and he would do it in such a way that you don't have to feel it. We get so afraid, I'm going to have to give this up. I'm not going to have these people. I'm telling you, if you just give your life to Jesus, if you don't even want to give your life, but just try him, talk to him, all the things that you struggle with will start to unravel. I promise you, it will start to make sense. Things will get clearer. You'll start behaving and carrying yourself different, and your desires will change. You're not going to be perfect. You're not. I'm not perfect. I'm telling you, so do not aim for that. You're not going to be perfect. Just try. Just stay in relationship. Talk to him every day. Just like you want your man to talk to you, want your woman to talk to you, want your friends to talk to you, talk to Jesus every day. I guarantee your days will change. And things that you felt ashamed of will start to be no more. It will just happen, and you will feel happy about it. It won't feel like a burden, or it won't feel like you lost anything. Let me know your testimonies. All I'm asking is that you're polite and courteous in the comment box, because we are not here to judge one another or to tear each other down, because we're human. We're all getting through this thing called life, and we all need some help. And so we can be honest and raw and real with each other and let each other know, like, hey, I've gone through this too. I've suffered through that too. I've made this mistake. I made that mistake, and I did this, and I changed this around, or whatever it was. You're going to help somebody else. We can help somebody just with our testimonies and what our life experiences. But let me know what you think. Drop your comments in the comment box below. Send me an email if you like. As usual, if you want to share a testimony, if you want to add on to what I'm saying right now, or if you want to bring up a topic that you like to talk about, let me know in my email. And you can let me know if you want me to share it or not. And if you do want me to share it, I will not release any of your personal information. I will just share whatever you told me, and that is all. We can just keep the conversation going in my email, and we'll see where things go. But y'all let me know. We'll keep the conversation going, and we will talk next time. Bye.